back to the Joyride. This time we're testing the Haydenshapes Hypto Krypto Twin. This board comes after the Hypto Krypto, of course, which at one point was actually the best-selling surfboard in history. That comes on the back of Craig Anderson's Magic Ride at Kandui, and then basically all of the small wave performance stuff you saw on Hyptos. Everybody seemed to love this board, and they decided to make a few different iterations of it. So recently they came out with the Hypto Krypto Step Up, which is made for bigger waves, and now they're coming into the more alternative world with the Hypto Krypto Twin. This board obviously has just 2 fin boxes in it. You can't even ride it as a thruster or a 2+1 if you wanted to. It's got a nice deep swallowtail, and basically made to provide a little bit more versatility in the Hypto and make it a little bit maybe faster, a little bit looser, but also still have a lot of drive and control.
Yes! That was a fucking flip.
According to Hayden Cox, the founder of Haydenshapes, you should ride the Hypto Twin about 1.5 to 3 liters bigger than your average shortboard and about 4 to 5 inches shorter. So yeah, it's a little bit of a round stubby thing, but you're meant to have a little extra foam in it just to carry you through those flat sections. My first thoughts when I grab this board is that it feels very thin and wide. It pretty much fills up the whole entire gap between my armpit and my hand. So yeah, it feels like a real handful when you're carrying it. But because the rails are so refined, it feels like it's gonna actually be pretty good on rail. And it feels like I'll be able to kind of rip into a few real turns on this. This board is made in Haydenshapes Future Flex construction, so it's an EPS core with epoxy resin, and if you look really closely, you can actually see the black carbon strips that they have on the rail that you'd be used to seeing on a Hypto Krypto. They're just covered over with a bit of a muted off-white paint. So we're gonna bring it down. I think the waves are gonna be pretty fun today. You guys might recognize this spot. It's kind of like low key, but we're gonna see if we can sneak a camera down there and get a few clips without pissing off the locals. So let's do it. Session 1 on the Hypto Twin is done. We snuck a couple little ones under the locals, and yeah, first thoughts are fins. With a twin fin, it's extra important what kind of fins you have on the board, and Hayden actually recommended that I use a keel fin, so I went with the K2 from Futures to start, but if you've been watching any of my other Joyrides, you know that I cannot ride keel fins. I just don't have enough control with them because I'm not back-footed enough. So I tried a few waves in the keel. I didn't really feel like I could lock in and, you know, do a proper turn. So I switched to these fins, which are pretty much my favorite fin in every twin fin I've ridden. These are the Rostovich fins. They're way more vertical and they're a little bit flexy, and they got a little bit of a foil on the inside, and I felt like I had a little bit more control over the board. But ultimately, I almost think that these waves were a little bit too good for my skill level on a twin fin. So I would get on a wave that was head high or whatever, and I just felt like I wanted a thruster. I wanted something that I could hold on to and dig in a little bit harder, whereas with this, it felt really nice on the face, but I just felt like I had to nurse it a bit and just kind of hold on for dear life. However, I got some smaller waves where it felt like I had way more control over it, and it was really good, like floating over little sections, cutting back into the pocket. And I'm really excited to bring this board to a wave that's a little bit more playful and soft. I just need a wave that has a little bit less steepness to it and a little bit less speed so that I can kind of control my own speed out there. So first impression is I really like the feel of the board. I just think I need to find a wave that allows me to control it a bit better.
It seemed like centuries ago when the monks crossed the mountain to Malibu, El Camino, and a sipping tea lemonade room. We ponder all that we can lose in a theater of dark. The cross of Jesus sees it all. His red blood's on the bar.
Second session done on the Hypto Twin. Found an awesome, peaky, chest-high little beach break, and I think you could probably tell by my expression while surfing, but yeah, I had a ton of fun on this thing. It was so fast. So many little sections I would just stand up and just give it one little wiggle and it would just spring me down the line. Super nice and snappy. Like, I really liked the way that it worked in the lip. It felt like I could pivot really hard and keep the board under my feet, maybe even more so than I would on like a thruster. And I'm still struggling a little bit on rail, mainly in that last third of the turn where you start getting the board parallel to the beach. I just don't know what to do at that point, so I end up kind of just pushing and sliding, and I feel like that's not really what I should be doing, but it's hard because you don't have that center fin in there for support. It's also interesting because the board almost has like a built-in feature that lets you know when you're getting too front-footed, which is really good for me. Because when I lean too far forward, it bogs just a little on the rail. It's almost like those little ruts on the side of the highway that make a bunch of noise when you veer off course. It's like, no, don't do that. It's like, oh, okay, lean back a little bit. And once I did that, it was just super fast and lively and fun. Going left, I mean, God, I don't know. I shouldn't even bother trying to go backside on twin fins, to be honest. I'm so bad at it. I think it's gonna hold and then it slides, and I think it's gonna slide and it holds, and yeah, at least there are plenty of rights out there. I threw the Machado twins in today, and that's because we were surfing a little beach break, and they got a decent amount of flex, and they got a lot of foil on the inside. So they're basically all for speed and flow. And yeah, they felt great. Like, I just loved that little initial squirt that I got out of the board, just taking off and just going whoop. Altogether, the Hypto Twin, super, super fun board. I think it's best for conditions kind of like this. Also, I feel like you don't necessarily see a lot of fins in epoxy tech, but at least in clean conditions like we had today, it was so nice. Like, the board just felt so springy and light, and everything about it felt kind of right. And I don't think I've necessarily mastered it yet, but hopefully that day comes soon.